Imagine a galaxy where Anakin Skywalker never became Darth Vader. A universe where the Chosen One prophecy pointed to someone else entirely. Ahsoka Tano. The moment Master Plo Koon discovered her on Shili, the Force trembled with possibility. Today, we're diving into the story that could have changed everything. What if Ahsoka Tano was actually the Chosen One? The ancient Jedi prophecy spoke of one who would bring balance to the Force. For generations, the Jedi Order searched the galaxy for signs of this Chosen One. Then, on a routine mission to the planet Shili, Master Plo Koon feels something that stops him in his tracks. A disturbance in the Force unlike anything he's ever experienced. Following this feeling, he discovers a young Togruta girl named Ahsoka Tano. But it's not just her natural Force sensitivity that catches his attention. As he approaches, the very fabric of the Force seems to ripple around her. Ancient Jedi texts describe this phenomenon, the Force itself recognizing its chosen vessel. The air around her seems to shimmer with an energy that makes even the most skeptical Jedi Masters pause in wonder. The medical tests confirm what Plo Koon already knows in his heart. Ahsoka's midi-chlorian count doesn't just rival Master Yoda's, it surpasses it. But there's something else, something the numbers can't explain. When she touches a kyber crystal brought for testing, it doesn't just resonate, it sings in a frequency that makes every Jedi in the temple stop and turn. The crystal's blue glow turns to a brilliant white, a color unseen in lightsabers for generations. The Council's reaction divides the Order, but it's Master Yoda who silences the debate. During his meditation, he experiences a vision so powerful, it leaves him speechless for hours. When he finally addresses the Council, his revelation shakes the very foundation of their beliefs. He speaks of their collective arrogance in assuming they understood the prophecy, acknowledging that they had been viewing everything through the lens of the past. In young Ahsoka, he explains, they see something unprecedented, a being who instinctively views the Force through the eyes of the future itself. This revelation forces the Council to confront uncomfortable questions. If Ahsoka is truly the Chosen One, what does that mean for Anakin? Master Yoda suggests a radical possibility, that perhaps Anakin's role is not to be the Chosen One, but to help guide and protect them. The Force, in its infinite wisdom, may have designed a more complex plan than anyone initially realized. As news spreads through the temple, young Ahsoka becomes the subject of intense scrutiny. Some knights and Padawans try to test her abilities, while others treat her with a reverence that makes her uncomfortable. But through it all, she maintains a peculiar serenity. When asked about the Force, her answers carry a wisdom that seems impossible for her age. She speaks to Master Plo Koon of the Force not as a tool to be wielded, but as a universal connection that binds all living things, a fundamental truth that many had simply forgotten how to perceive. This perspective, so different from traditional Jedi teaching, begins to influence even the most conservative council members. They start to realize that perhaps the balance spoken of in the prophecy isn't about power or control, but about understanding. A kind of understanding that only a child, unburdened by centuries of Jedi doctrine, could bring to the Order. Ahsoka's training at the Jedi Temple defies all conventional wisdom. During meditation sessions, other Padawans connect with the Force. Ahsoka becomes a conduit for it. Master Plo Koon watches in amazement as she achieves feats that should be impossible for someone her age. She doesn't just lift objects with the Force, she understands their very essence, seeing the connections between all living things. One particular incident stands out. During a training session, a fellow Padawan becomes frustrated trying to lift multiple objects at once. Ahsoka approaches quietly and places a hand on their shoulder. Suddenly, everyone in the room can see what she sees. The intricate web of Force energy connecting everything in the room. The other Padawan gasps as their own connection to the Force deepens, not through instruction, but through understanding. But it's during lightsaber construction that everything changes. While most Jedi bond with a single kyber crystal, multiple crystals respond to Ahsoka's presence. The ceremony, usually a solitary affair, becomes a spectacle as crystals from the temple's vault begin to resonate. She crafts her signature dual lightsabers, not out of preference, but necessity. The crystals themselves chose to work in tandem, creating a perfect harmony that reflects her unique connection to the Force. When ignited for the first time, their blades shine with a pure white light, something not seen since the days of the ancient Jedi Order. Master Yoda takes a special interest in her training, sharing wisdom from his 900 years of experience. But often, he finds himself learning from her. Ahsoka's perspective on the Force challenges everything he thought he knew. During one session, she helps him grasp a profound truth he'd missed for centuries: the possibility that the dark side might not be an enemy to be fought, but rather a part of themselves they had been too afraid to truly understand. Her most remarkable ability, however, emerges during a routine training exercise. While other Jedi sense emotions and intentions, Ahsoka begins to see what she calls Force echoes, glimpses of possible futures and hidden truths. These aren't like normal Force visions, which show possible futures. Instead, she sees the connections between events, the ripple effects of choices, made and unmade. During a visit from Chancellor Palpatine, these echoes reveal something dark, lurking beneath his carefully constructed facade. She sees flashes of Order 66, the fall of the Republic, and a future where darkness reigns. But more importantly, she sees why. The fear, the pain, and the loneliness that drive even the most powerful Sith. Meanwhile, Anakin Skywalker's journey takes an unexpected turn. Freed from the crushing weight of the prophecy, he forms a unique bond with Ahsoka. Their sparring sessions become legendary within the temple, not for their intensity, but for their beauty. Anakin's raw power combines with Ahsoka's intuitive understanding of the Force to create something entirely new. Without the pressure of being the chosen one, his fears about losing loved ones begin to fade. His relationship with Padme develops not in secret and shame, but with a newfound wisdom about attachment and love. Even Obi-Wan notices the profound change in his former Padawan. Without the burden of destiny, Anakin's training focuses on understanding rather than achievement. The anger that once simmered beneath the surface gives way to curiosity. He starts to see his own tremendous power not as a burden or a blessing, but as a tool for understanding, much like Ahsoka does. The Council begins to see him not as a potential savior or threat, but as something equally important, a bridge between the old ways of the Jedi and a new understanding of the Force that Ahsoka seems to represent. Together, Anakin and Ahsoka begin to reshape what it means to be a Jedi. Their training sessions attract observers from throughout the temple, as masters and Padawans alike witness something unprecedented, a perfect balance between power and wisdom, between the old ways and the new. Some council members worry about this departure from tradition, but Master Yoda simply smiles, seeing in their partnership the first true steps toward the balance the prophecy spoke of. The Clone Wars explode across the galaxy, but this time, something is different. Ahsoka's Force echoes become more frequent and intense. During a routine mission with her clone troopers, she experiences a vision so powerful it brings her to her knees. She sees not just Order 66, but the entire grand design, the clone army, the separatist movement, the manipulation of the Senate, all pieces of a puzzle orchestrated by a single dark mind. The vision nearly overwhelms her. She sees millions of possible futures branching out like a vast web, each decision point creating new timelines, new possibilities. But in every timeline where she confronts Palpatine directly, darkness wins. The Sith Lord's power, built up over decades of careful planning, is too entrenched to be defeated by force alone. She realizes that to save the galaxy, she needs to understand not just the plot, but the plot maker. Working with Captain Rex on the front lines, Ahsoka begins to form a deeper connection with the clones. During a meditation session, she senses something artificial in their Force signatures, tiny shadows in their minds that shouldn't be there. The inhibitor chips reveal themselves to her not as mere technology, but as wounds in the Force itself. Each chip is a small, dark star waiting to explode and tear reality apart. But instead of exposing this discovery immediately, Ahsoka understands she must proceed with extreme caution. She begins a secret operation with a small group of trusted allies, Anakin, Obi-Wan, Captain Rex, and a handful of clone commanders. They work in absolute secrecy, knowing that any premature revelation could trigger Palpatine's contingency plans. Ahsoka develops a unique technique to free the clones from their programming. Rather than trying to remove the chips surgically, she learns to communicate with them through the Force. She treats each chip not as an enemy to be destroyed, but as a wound to be healed. One by one, she helps clone troopers break free, showing them the truth while maintaining the outward appearance of compliance. The process is slow and exhausting, but each freed clone becomes part of a growing network of resistance within the Grand Army itself. The burden of this knowledge weighs heavily on her. Every morning, meditation shows her new possibilities, new ways the future could unfold. She sees worlds where she fails, where the Republic falls, where darkness consumes everything. But she also sees paths to victory, subtle, delicate paths that require not the raw power of a warrior, but the wisdom of a true chosen one. During a particularly intense battle, Ahsoka has a revelation that changes everything. While deflecting blaster fire alongside her clone troops, she suddenly sees the entire war in a new light. The Clone Wars aren't just a military conflict. They're a manifestation of the Force's own internal struggle. The clones and the droids, the Republic and the Separatists, even the Jedi and the Sith, all of them are playing out an ancient pattern of division that goes back to the very founding of the Jedi Order. Ahsoka understands something that perhaps no Jedi before her has fully grasped, that bringing balance to the Force doesn't mean destroying the dark side, but understanding it. Through her Force echoes, she begins to see Palpatine not just as a villain to be defeated, but as a manifestation of the Force's own struggle for balance. His fear, his need for control, his desperate grasp for immortality, all of it speaks to a deeper imbalance that violence alone cannot solve. She shares these insights with Anakin, whose own struggles with the dark side give him a unique perspective. Together, they begin to formulate a plan that goes beyond simply stopping Order 66. They realize that to truly bring balance to the Force, they need to address the fundamental fears and attachments that drive people toward the dark side. The Clone Wars, they understand, aren't just a battle between armies. They're a battle for the very soul of the galaxy. The confrontation with Palpatine unfolds like nothing the galaxy has ever seen. As the Chancellor prepares to execute Order 66, Ahsoka makes her move, but she doesn't storm his office with a lightsaber drawn. Instead, she walks in alone, unarmed, her presence in the Force radiating not power, but understanding. Palpatine, sensing something is wrong, reaches for the darkness that has served him for so long. But for the first time in his life, his connection to the dark side wavers. Ahsoka's presence acts like a lens, focusing the Force itself into perfect clarity. Every senator in the building, every Jedi in the temple, every clone in the army suddenly sees the truth, not through evidence or testimony, but through the Force itself. The scene that follows is both beautiful and terrible. Palpatine, realizing his plans are unraveling, unleashes the full power of the dark side. Lightning crackles through the air, but Ahsoka doesn't deflect it with a lightsaber. Instead, she catches it with her bare hands, not redirecting the energy, but transforming it. The dark side lightning begins to change color, shifting through the spectrum until it becomes pure, radiant light. The true power of the Chosen One is revealed not in destruction, but in transformation. Ahsoka doesn't try to destroy Palpatine's darkness. She helps him understand it. In those final moments, as his carefully constructed plans crumble around him, Palpatine experiences something he never expected: clarity. Through Ahsoka's connection to the Force, he sees his own fear, his own pain, his own desperate need for control. The Clone Wars end not with a bang, but with a ripple through the Force that changes everything. The clones, their chips now dormant thanks to Ahsoka's intervention, stand down. The Separatists, seeing the manipulation that drove them to war, begin peace talks. The Jedi Council, humbled by how blind they had been, starts to re-evaluate their understanding of the Force. But even as Palpatine's plans crumble, a darker truth emerges. The Force whispers of another threat, one that makes the Sith look like children playing with fire. In saving the galaxy from Palpatine, has Ahsoka inadvertently awakened something far worse? Something that's been waiting in the unknown regions since before the Republic itself. The choice to make Ahsoka the Chosen One would have changed everything we know about Star Wars. But maybe, just maybe, that change would have led to an even greater adventure. One that we'll explore next time. If you've enjoyed this journey through an alternate Star Wars timeline, there are more untold stories waiting to be discovered. Join our growing community of Star Wars enthusiasts who believe in exploring these what-if moments that could have changed the galaxy far, far away. Make sure to hit that subscribe button and activate notifications to catch our next alternative Star Wars story. Each tale offers a new perspective on the characters we love and the choices that define them. Remember to share your thoughts in the comments below. What other pivotal moments in the Star Wars saga would you like to see explored differently? Your ideas might inspire our next adventure. May the Force be with you, always.